Okay, so we're going to try and attempt the frog. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to start off creating a slip knot. So I just use a 1.9, I use a 1.9 millimeter hook, and I'm going to make a slip knot first. So let's create the slip knot. After the slip knot, I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. From here, we're going to do an increase in each of those chains. So this is the first increase, just means 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. I'll do the same here in the second. 1, 2, and then the same in the last stitch. So we've got 1, and there is the second. Okay, so we've just created the first row. In the second row, all we're going to do is single crochet across. So that should be 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It's always hard in the last one, so it creeps down on the side. That, once you got it, fantastic. From here, we're going to do one more row of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in here 6. Okay, so now we're going to crochet, so single crochet in the first 2 stitches. So once, twice, and now we're going to increase in the next 2 stitches. So here's the first increase, and here is the second increase, and we will just complete 2 additional single crochets for the stitches that are left. 1, and in the last space 2. All right, next we're going to chain 1, turn, and just single crochet across. So there should be 8 single crochets in total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and almost 8 if we can get in there. This is sometimes a bit hard. There we go, 8. Okay, following this point, we are now going to increase and then single crochet all the way across. So here we've got an increase, then a single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, and finish on a single crochet. So that was the finish for my increase, and here is the single crochet. Okay, and now we are going to single crochet all the way across that. So there are 12 stitches in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and in your last one, 12. Okay, from here we are now going to decrease. Chain 1, I'm going to decrease, single crochet, decrease, single crochet all the way. So we've got a decrease, and I'll just go into both of those loops there and pull my yarn through all the loops. Then a single crochet, a decrease, a single crochet, another decrease, single crochet, decrease, and single crochet. Okay, from here we'll just have another row. So this should now be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now we are going to decrease and single crochet again. So chain 1, turn. Let's start off with the decrease, single crochet, another decrease, single crochet, and yes, we finish on a decrease. So this means we have how many stitches? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 stitches in total. Okay, so now that we've finished the decrease, we have 5 stitches here, and we're going to complete 5 rounds of 5 single crochet. So this is the first round. Sorry, I mean 4 rounds. So that's, oh no, 5. Okay, here's number 2. Just have to remember what I did. It's always tricky in this last stitch. Maybe just leaving it a little bit looser might help. So that's 2, 3, 4, and final one for number 5. Okay, the next part is kind of cool. So what we're going to do is chain 1 and turn. And then we are going to start with an increase in the first stitch. So this is the first increase. Next, we are going to do what's known as a bubble stitch. So we're going to wrap our yarn over like this, enter into the next stitch, pull the yarn, and then pull the yarn through 2 of those loops only. So now we have 2 loops on the hook. Then we're going to wrap again and basically do the same thing, pulling through 2 every time. Now we have 3 on the hook. Wrap the yarn and pull through 2. So we've got 4 on the yarn, and lastly, wrap yarn, pull through 2, and now we have 5 loops on the hook, and we're going to pull the yarn through all of these. And now to finish that off, we're going to chain 1. So this is the chain that will go through in the next round, not this one. So this is kind of like a invisible silent chain. We're not going to use it. In the next stitch, we are going to slip stitch. So remember, this is number 3. So we've done an increase, a bubble stitch, and a slip stitch. And now we're going to repeat the bubble stitch in this next stitch. So just repeat, got 2 on the hook, 3 on the hook, 4 on the hook, and last one, 5 on the hook, just like so. Alright, so we've got 5 loops on the hook. We're going to pull the yarn through all of them, and we are going to chain 1 to finish. Again, this is our invisible stitch here. And now in our final stitch of this row, we are going to increase. So now we have a total of 7 stitches in that row. Chain 1, and then we are going to first of all decrease. So remember, we increased in the previous round. In those 2 stitches we are going to decrease. Then remember, I said this was the invisible stitch here. So we're going in the next stitch over here, and we're just going to do a single crochet. We're going to do another single crochet in that previous row slip stitch. Might be a little bit tricky to get in there. Make sure you go through both loops. So we'll do a quick single crochet there. We have that invisible stitch, and we're going through this stitch but through both loops. You might need to adjust your section so you can get in there. Just looking at the back now to get through both of those loops. So I'm going to single crochet here, and then finally I'm going to decrease where I had my previous rounds increase. And there we go. So now we have basically like what you'd call the eye bumps up the top here. Finally, we're going to chain one, and this is our last row. We're going to do a single crochet, then a decrease, and then finish off with 2 single crochets. So this gives us 4 single crochet stitches on our last round. Okay, now we don't want to cut the yarn here because we're going to use this to attach to our second piece, which we're going to make now, and we'll do that with white yarn. So I'm just going to leave a bit of an end here so I don't undo any of this, and I'll just put this to the side. And the next thing we're going to do is bring in our white yarn. Okay, with the white yarn now, we're going to make a slip knot just as we did with the green section, like so, and then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. After this, we're going to increase in the 2 loops. 1 loop, 2 loops. We always start in the second loop from the hook. So here we'll have the first increase, and then we will have the second increase here. Chain 1, turn, and we're going to do 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. Always tricky in that last one, but we can do it. This will be number 4. Next, we are going to single crochet, and then we're going to do 2 increases. So this is the first increase, and this is the second increase, and we just finish off with a single crochet. Next, we have single crochet all the way across, so this is 6 single crochet, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll do this twice. So again, another 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Chain 1 and turn. Here we are going to increase and single crochet all the way across. So here's the increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, and finally single crochet. So we now have 9 stitches in that row, and we're going to chain 1 and do single crochet in every stitch. So this will be 9 in the next row as well. Number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, last one, number 9. Okay, from here we're going to decrease. So we're going to decrease first, single crochet, and just alternate between those 2. Single crochet, decrease, and then finish with a single crochet. This will give us back to 6 stitches in this round. Next, we're going to do 3 rounds of 6 single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, twice, and this is the last time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's 3 rows of 6. The next thing we're going to do is chain 1 and then decrease and single crochet all the way across the row. Single crochet, decrease, and finally single crochet. So that gives us 4 stitches now, and for the next 3 rows we're just going to do 4. So this is the first 1, 2, 3, 4, second 1, 2, 3, 4, and last one. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And here we can just cut the yarn. I grab my scissors. And there we go. So there's the white part of the body that we're going to make now. Or that we have made. Alright, so back to our green part. We're just going to put our hook back in where it should go, so that we can get ready to attach both of these. We're going to chain 1, and then what I'm going to do is grab my piece. Sorry, I keep going out of the camera. And can you see how I'm lining it up like this? So for example, this is where we began, this is where we ended. Let's see. So what we're going to do is insert the yarn here, and so can you see I've lined it up like this, the 4 next to the 4. We're going in through here and then a slip stitch. Next we're going to chain 1, and I'm going to insert my hook through the next stitch, and this time we're going to have a look at the back piece of this green. Now we're not going to go in this section here. This is not what we want, and you'll see why in just a moment. Instead, what we want to do is, can you see these little triangle sections? So there's 1, 2, 3 here, and 4 over here. So what we want to do is get our hook inserted into that little section there. Hold on, I just want to get the white piece away so we can really focus on how this is to be done. So if I can get my hook through one of those back loops, then I am all good. And this is a little bit tricky. This is why it's probably recommended that you leave the stitches in the last round a little bit looser, that you can get in there. Sometimes a little trick I like to do is use a smaller hook, just so I can get inside. If you're really struggling like I am, I think that's what I'm gonna do. So hold on, I will be back. There we go. I got my hook through that section there. So that's the second stitch. The first one we skipped because we didn't use it here when we did that first slip stitch. So we're in the second stitch of the green mouth at the moment, and we're going to now slip stitch through that. So I'm going to bring that through and then bring this through and slip stitch. Give myself a little bit of leeway here, so make it a little bit loose before going into my next stitch. So we've just done 1. Okay, now we're up to the 3rd stitch of this white section here. We're going to go through both loops here, and then we are going to try again to find that back space and insert our hook through it like that. So now I'm going to pull the yarn through that space and into the white so we can slip stitch. There we go. Okay, just pull it a little bit so we've got some space, and now we're ready for that last stitch. Here I'm going to insert my hook here, and let's find that last back space. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right here, right there. I need to get into it. Let me just try and focus. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna pull and slip stitch again. So that was my 4th slip stitch now. Now what we're going to do is chain 1. Okay, so make sure you chain, turn this inside out. Can you now see that we have this beautiful 4 slip stitch where we just finished the last round? And this will form part of the mouth, so you can see the eyes up here, and then we've got the mouth over here. It kind of looks like an alligator, but hopefully a frog at the end. So what we're going to do is insert our hook into, so there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to enter into the first stitch, and we're just going to slip stitch, and you'll do that through each of the 4 stitches above. Remember, giving yourself a bit of room. So there we go. We now have an additional 4 slip stitches that we made after pulling it inside out. Okay, here comes the next fun part. So that was probably the trickiest part out of everything. Now remember, the white and the green don't line up perfectly because I think there are an additional 2 rows in the green body that are not present in the white. So what we want to do is when we get to this side stitch right here, so it's kind of the same stitch that we just finished in, so we're going to go in there, and then we're going to find the first row. That doesn't look like it. Let's just try and find it properly. So it looks like it's right there. So that's the first row on the side, and we are going to pull the yarn through as best we can. Really doesn't like me today. So what I try and do is pull it through the green first, because that's where we seem to be having trouble. Slip stitch to the green and bring it out, and we're just going to slip stitch like this. Okay, so that's the first thing. It kind of creates that side portion of the mouth. We're going to chain 1. We're going to go into the same white section, but we're going to go down the next side section of the green. Okay, this way we can line it up. So this is the only place, and we're going to do a single crochet there. Now the rows should generally line up quite well, and we're going to continue all the way down the body with a single crochet, making sure you go through both the green and the white sides. And then you're going to continue all the way down. And just focus as you do this, because you want it to line up, and for the yarn to go through both loops. Remember, it's both loops that are important. You can see we're looking good. Keep going all the way down. It's lining up pretty well right now. So we're going to continue with these single crochets all the way across. We've started the corner stitch for the green, and now we're into the 2 loops that we started off with when we chained. So we're going to put those into the bottom stitches of the green. So that's the 2nd green. Here's our last white stitch, and we've got the 3rd green. Now we can try and hide this white by pulling it underneath like this. We can also hide the green. And in this last stitch, we're going to just line it up with the bottom. Okay, so we're looking pretty good right now. And we are almost done. The next thing we're going to do is continue with the body. If it stops lining up, as you can see, this is kind of, I'm just going to pull this white just to hide it a little bit better. So we've already started in this stitch here is kind of like the side of the next one, and we have gone into the side of the green, so we are actually lined up pretty well. The only thing we want to do is hide these as we go along. So just pull them in and kind of crochet over them. And now we are back on track on the other side, which is amazing. Okay, let's keep going. Chuck this in because we don't need it. And we don't want to continue all the way up, and the reason is because we've got to insert our eye piece. Now I would recommend using maybe 7mm eyes. The only eyes I have available are 9mm. Oops. Just make sure you're going in the right section on the green here. Okay, I'm gonna stop right here, otherwise I'm not gonna fit in my eyes, and I'm just gonna pull this. And now I'm going to open this up just a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. You got the mouth part here, which is looking really cute. And I'm going to grab my eyes. So here we go. I have 9mm eyes. Again, I'd recommend smaller if you can. And here are the bumps to my eyes, and I want to go to the sides of these. So I'm going to do my best to fit this into the side. So you can see that one there. We're going to lock that in place. Do your best to lock that in place. So that's good, that's one. And then we're going to do the second one now, which will just go inside this portion here. So just clip that in there. Just make sure I'm in the right section. Okay, that's literally where I had it before. And now we're going to secure that one as well. It's kind of not sitting right. I kind of want to do it again. Okay, let's get this right. Put it on the side. Push it in. And secure. Okay, that is looking good. Okay, so we have our eyes, forms a little bump over here, which is really, really cute. And now we are going to start stuffing this body. So we'll just use fiber fill. If you have a pillow or some cotton fiber that you can find go purchase it if you don't already have it, and start filling your little frog. Start at the base. Just make sure it's filled really well. If you have any type of utensil, whether that be tweezers or some cutters, I find that it really helps to just squish all of the fiber fill together, so it makes like this solid impact, which is what you want. So do this to the best of your ability. Add to the face where you can. You don't have to fill it all the way up, and it's probably not recommended to fill everything up because we've still got to stitch this side part, and we can start adding in more of this stuffing just before we finish our last couple of stitches. All right, so that's all I'm going to do for now. We're not going to fully shape it just yet. Remember, I want the frog head to kind of fall like this, so we're going to stuff in there a little bit later. And from here, we're just going to continue with our single crochet border. Try your best not to get the stuffing caught up in your stitches, which could be very tricky to do. You kind of want a steady hand and it to be really squished in there. Keep your hook tight as you go along this. You'll find that it starts to loosen up a little bit. As you can see, that's what's happened here. So I'm going to just redo that space again. Okay, maybe I will do the next stitch as well because I wasn't really doing a good job there. Okay, continuing. If you're finding that you've got a lot of stuffing, you might want to take some out because you do want this to be a secure piece and not loose. There we go. Continuing up like so. Just trying to push it right in there so it doesn't get caught. We are almost finished. The body of the frog. Hang in there. I'm going to see if I can push that stuffing down a little bit, just because it's in my way a lot. There, that should help. And maybe just push it a little bit away so it doesn't get caught. And later on we're going to fill the gaps. There, that's better. We're coming to the end now, and don't forget we have to do what we did on one side to the other so that we can finish off this piece really well. So here is our final stitch, and we have 2 left in the green, so we're going to use that same white space for the 2 green stitches that we have left. One of them is going to be a single crochet and the last is going to be a slip stitch. But before we finish that, I'm going to add stuffing into here. Now, as you can see, it's a very tiny hole, so you're definitely going to need something to help you chuck everything in. And I'm going to pause this video now so I can just focus on putting in the stuffing, and it will give you time as well to focus on that. Then we can come back to finish those last 2 stitches. Okay, we're back. So I've just finished stuffing the head as best as I can, and we're up to that last stitch, which is where the first stitch was, but towards the side. And we've got 2 stitches left here. So the first one we're going to complete, and this is going to be hard to get into if you've used big eyes like I have. This is why 7mm eyes is probably a lot better to do. We're going to do a single crochet in that first one, back in there, and now connecting to the last stitch, which I think I've just gone in a bit farther. There we go. So I've connected it now to this last stitch, and we are going to pull that through without affecting any of the other bits like I keep doing. And once we've got it through like we have now, we're going to slip stitch. Just pull it. Oh no, gonna have to do it again. Okay, slip stitch into that, and then finally you can either cut off here, which is more than fine, and actually I might do that, or you can slip stitch into that first stitch. I'm just going to see what it looks like if I slip stitch into the first stitch. It doesn't look like it's going to work because it's so tight. Yeah, it's probably not going to work. So what I'm going to do is cut my yarn here. And I'm going to pull it like that. It's looking really good. And then I'm going to get my needle. And I'm just going to weave it in there properly. So I'm going to weave it where I want to weave it, so that it's in that kind of first slip stitch. It'll just help to complete the piece. And I'm going to weave it in the back stitch as well. That way it is fully secure. And then I'm going to weave my yarn into that stitch so it just folds over nicely, and then come out somewhere here, anywhere. There's no exact rule for where you should emerge your yarn. Now you can see it's done that, and that should be fairly secure. So what I can do now is just chop this off. And push this yarn tail back inside. And that's all fairly tight. So here is now the body of my frog. And I think that is perfect because at least the face comes down a little bit. One of my previous ones that I did before, I just had the face kind of sticking all the way up. So this is really good. And now what we're going to do is create the legs and the arms. And once we finish the legs and the arms, we're also going to make this really cute jumper and then some little Uggies. Okay, so we're about to start the legs and the arms, and I just want to begin by saying that this is a very tricky part, not in terms of the actual work, but because of how small we are crocheting in a magic ring. I'm not sure if you're aware, but usually like 6 single crochet in a magic ring is fairly okay to work with, especially if you're just doing 6 single crochet all the way to the top or in each round. Even 5 is okay, but for this, because our frog is so tiny, We could either crochet in rows and then sew at the end, or we could do what I'm going to do is and just crochet in the round, but only have 4 single crochet stitches in the round as you go all the way to the top. So this is what I mean by it being a little bit tricky, because it's small to work with. So it's just going to take a little bit of practice and a lot of perseverance, and you can definitely do it. You just gotta have that patience. So we're going to start by making a magic ring. So these are the legs right now. And maybe what you can do is make your yarn, when you're crocheting, just make it a little bit loose. That way, like not too loose obviously, because you don't want it to come apart. But here I have just single crocheted 4 into a magic ring here, and I'm going to pull the magic ring by its tail, and I now need to insert into this first stitch, and I am going to slip stitch and chain 1 as I go around every time. It's not that obvious because we only have 4 stitches in every round as you go to the top. If I was doing say 6, I would probably just continue within the round, but that slip stitch chain 1 for every round is not really that visible. Now, because this is going to be the beginning of the leg or the hand, in this case we're doing the leg, but it's the same principle, we on the next round, so this is round 2, are going to only crochet in the back loops, and this leaves us free with the front loops to crochet those little fingers later on. So we want to do 4 again. This is where it starts to get tricky. Start to pull your work together. Don't continue crocheting if the piece is inside out, because it makes it very hard to turn it back the right way around. Don't make it too loose when you do that slip stitch as well. You want to make that nice and tight. So we've just done 2 rounds here, and we're going to continue all the way. But just to confirm, we're doing a total of 10 rounds. So after that second round, we had another 8 to go. So I've just finished that now. And what I'm going to do is, so I finished with the slip stitch, chain 1, and now I'm just going to create a yarn tail and cut this. So maybe about, I don't know, 15 to 20 centimeters here. And this is the first leg. And now from the front, we see how we've got all these front loops left over. So what we're going to do is we're going to create the legs here. So where we can find the slip stitch, which is right here, we're going to connect our hook and yarn to that first loop, holding the leg upside down, kind of like that bird's eye view. So we're not working up, we're coming upside down. And we are now going to pull our yarn through, chain 1, chain 3 actually, I believe. So we've just chained 3, and we're going to slip stitch in the 2 loops. Okay. Now we are going to slip stitch in the next stitch. And repeat. So we're going to chain 1, 2, 3. In the second loop from the hook, we're doing a slip stitch, so that we have a total of 2 slip stitches. And then once that's done, we're going to slip stitch in the next loop. Now we have 2 fingers. And in total, we're going to create 3 fingers. So again, 1, 2, 3. Second loop from the hook, slip stitch, so that we have then a total of 2 slip stitches. 1, 2. And to finish off, we will then slip stitch in the last stitch. There we go. And we're going to just fasten off We don't need this much of a tail, maybe like that much. Because what we're going to do is, using a needle, we're going to insert these two pieces into here, tie them off, and hide them inside. We don't need to fill the leg or the arms with any stuffing because this is more than enough. So here we have the first leg, and you'll just repeat that for the second leg. And for the arms, we're only going to have, so here in the legs we have a total of 10 rounds. In the arms we do the same thing, but we have a total of 8 rounds. So I hope that makes sense. So if we can, I'm gonna pause the video and do the legs and the arms now. So remember, the arms up to 8 rounds, same thing, and the legs up to 10 rounds of 4 single crochet in each round. Once we've done that, then we can come back and start sewing them to the frog. Alright, so we're back now, and we've just finished our arms here and our legs here. So now we're going to sew them onto our little frog. So maybe we'll start with the legs first and then move on to the arms after that. So all I'm going to do, I just use a nice small needle. This way I can fit through all the little stitches and stuff like that. And yeah, so this is always the part where I hate putting the yarn through the needle, especially if it's so tiny. Okay, so we want to make sure that the foot is kind of facing the right way, and we want to attach it to the legs down here so you can see. So since this is meant to be around here, what I'm going to do is insert my hook here, and then as I go through, as I go through the stitch, I'll insert back in that section. I want to continue weaving my yarn through this section. Still in the same stitch over here, and then I'm going to work my way around now and probably just weave it into this section here of the body. It doesn't have to be exact, just try to make it look neat and work your way around until you finish all 6 stitches. And there we go. So I've just finished the 6th stitch right there, and I'm just going to insert my yarn that's fairly close to this stitch, and then I will emerge wherever there is green. Okay, and when I do the second leg, I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to immerse my yarn in that same stitch over here. That way I can tie it. So you'll see what I mean in just a minute. So here's my second leg. And I'm going to get this through. Nope. I try to twist the yarn a little bit so I can make it a little bit smaller. If anyone has tips of how to get yarn through the eye of a needle that's very small, please let me know in the comments, because this is like the worst thing to go through every time I go through the need to sew. Okay, hopefully, yay, got it. All right, so just making sure the feet face the right way as I begin to stick it on. So it's going to be down here on this end here now. So I'm just going to insert my yarn right here. And I will just continue all the way around. Oh, maybe I should start here. I'll go in the same stitch right now, and then I'll work my way into the next stitch. Make sure you go through the front and the back loop. That way you secure it on better. Okay, this will be the last time I'm going to go through this stitch. Oops, just going to make sure that's facing the right way. And now when I go through this stitch, which again, I need to make sure I go through the front and back loops. That back loop is kind of hiding in there. There we go. See, I kind of want to make it as even as possible to match this one. So this kind of comes through here, so that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to weave my yarn through this section, come out here. And then I'll do a similar thing here. Weave my yarn here. And then we're going to do the final couple. Again, just getting back to where I originated from. That way the leg attaches well. I'm just going to insert into one of these and then go through the back somehow. Or maybe what I can do is come through here. And then I'm going to emerge in this section here. I'm going to pull it. And that way I can just tighten these together with a double knot. Just like that. And then I'm going to cut it. And insert this knotted section into the body to hide it. Okay, that is pretty good for my legs. Slightly uneven. So I could have moved this over just a little bit here, and maybe I'll do that a bit later. But for the most part, that is decent. Now what I'm going to do is attach the arms around about here. That's probably a good spot. Look, we have a sitting frog. Okay, before I distract myself. So here we're going to insert the yarn again through the needle. And as we do this, I might actually go through both the front and back loops of this. So I want to attach it around about here. So what I'm going to do is insert my yarn through this stitch. And then I'm going to go through, can you see this? Yeah. I'm going to go through the back stitch and then the stitch that is directly in front of it. Just having trouble. 1, 2. Okay, got it. And then I'm going to insert my needle again through this section and then go through the next 2 stitch spaces. Now I could either go through the same thing or go into the back, and I think I'm going to go through the same stitch here and just work my way into the back a little bit so that I can then go through the last stitch, and then I will directly insert this into that section there. Pull that nice and tight. The hands are relatively on straight. You could obviously have it turned around like this if you wanted as well. It's up to you how you want the placement. And then we're going to do the same with the other arm on the other side, and then all of this section will be used for the jumper. Okay. In fact, okay, let me just see this. I just want the arm to actually be facing forward because that's how the frog would be, right? Okay, that's not bad. All right, so I think it was just the direction. I think it just needs a little bit of a twist so that we can get it in there properly. Okay, again, I'm going to finish off with this last arm, and then we will have had sewn everything together in preparation for the beautiful jumper and Ugg boots, which I think are a great accessory to this frog, and I'm sure we've all seen it a million times. I just haven't seen many crochet patterns out there. I think someone recommended one to me once I had actually created this because I couldn't find anything. I'm actually gonna start, so let's line this up. It's around here. So then we're gonna go through this back stitch first because this end will line up better, and then I'll start weaving through the front section over here. So I'm going to go through the back, ouch, yeah, be careful of that, not to just poke yourself with the needle. I always do that. Okay, so there we go, and then I'm going to try and line it up as best I can. Wanting this straight, so just making sure it's facing the right way. Good, and then just gonna enter it through the back here so I can straighten it out a little bit. And then we will just insert it under. It's getting a little bit lost over here. And then putting it through that last stitch over here. Okay, once we've done that, I'm gonna enter through the back loop again. And there we pretty much have our arms tied to Mr. Froggy. So now all I'm going to do is I should insert this yarn somewhere. So I'm going to go down here, and then I'm going to come out through here. Pull that a little bit tight so it just straightens out the arm. And last but not least, we're going to tie a secure knot again. So just pulling that really tight because we don't want it to undo. You can do a triple knot if you don't feel secure enough with the double. And then just cut the yarn here and weave in that end into the body just to hide it. All right, I am pretty happy with that look. So right now we have our wonderful little froggy, little fat body at the back and tummy at the front with its head facing down here. And now we are ready to crochet the Ugg boots. So this is essentially what it's going to look like. Here are the Ugg boots. Just pop one on and chuck the second one on. So now we have little Ugg boots for this frog. Why is it so cute? Okay, and then of course we have the jumper, which I'm gonna knit a little bit, not knit, crochet a little bit differently because this frog is a little bit smaller than my first one. So we'll get into that. All right, so we're gonna start the jumper first, and we are going to chain 4. So I'm starting off with this kind of beige or cream white color, which I think looks really good with this. We're starting with the base around here. So again, we're chaining 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that will give us the space to work 3 single crochet in each of those. So 1 single crochet in each of those loops, totaling 3 single crochets altogether. So as you can see, we've just started to form the back piece. We're going to chain 1, and then we're only going to single crochet now in the back loops. That will produce that sort of pleated effect. So 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 and continue doing the same thing. 2, 3. So currently we have worked 1, 2, 3 of these, and I think we want to work a total of 24. Okay, so I made a total of 20 rows, not 24, just to correct that. So 20 rows, and now we're going to connect this to the very first. So we should probably do it. Okay, hold on. Let us chain 1 and now connect them. So we're going to connect them by inserting through both loops of the stitches that are closest to us, and then we're only going to insert into the back loops of the second piece that we're trying to connect, and then we will just complete with a slip stitch. So again, 2 loops, and then only in the back loop again slip stitch to finish it off, and 2 loops lastly here, and only in the back loop, the last one is a bit hard to see, and slip stitch to finish that off. Now what we're going to do is turn this inside out, and what I'm gonna do is just create a slip stitch in that very first stitch. This way I'm working. Okay, and what I'm gonna do here is chain 1, and before changing the yarn, because this is an awkward spot to do, I'm going to single crochet all the way around. So that's once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So we have 22, and before we finish up with the slip stitch, we're going to change yarn color. So what we'll do is we will change the yarn color, pull that white, and then do a slip stitch to finish off. You can wrap these both underneath, pull it nice and tight so the slip stitch is not too obvious. Okay, so there we go. Now what we're going to do to continue is do 22 single crochets all the way around. And actually we might increase this to 24. So in order to do that, on every 11th stitch we're going to increase. So that's number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, we do an increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So don't forget, on that last stitch of the previous round we need to increase. So here's the increase. Slip stitch to finish, and now we have a total of 24. So in the next round we're going to make it up to 28, and that means in every 6th stitch we've got an increase. So after every 5 we increase. So let's do that now. Chain 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase, and last 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase. And before we finish off, we are going to swap the yarn again. So here's our yarn, swap that over, and now we can do the slip stitch. Just work the brown yarn underneath for that slip stitch. Okay, so this is looking really good. We want to try and have that seam on the side so it's a little bit invisible, but we'll work towards that as we get there. So now we're going to just continue around doing the white, and then so white, beige. So let's do 2 rounds of white and 2 rounds of beige and then come back. Okay, we've just finished our 2 rounds of white and our 2 rounds of this darker creamish brown color. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is change back to our white and then slip stitch, weaving in the darker yarn underneath just for that slip stitch. And then we are going to do 5 single crochets and then decrease, and we'll repeat that 4 times in total. So this is 3rd, 4, 5, decrease. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, decrease. Repeat another 2 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, decrease, and last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, decrease. Okay, slip stitch and weaving the brown yarn underneath. Now from here we are going to directly be producing the sleeves. So in order to do this, we want to start chaining straight away, and we will chain, let's see, so we've got 24, maybe, in 8 is 16, which means we've got 4 for the sides. So what we'll do is we'll chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we'll skip 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4 as a skip, and connect the yarn here, and we'll do a total of 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're going to chain 6 again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Skip 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and chain and single crochet 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is where we swap yarn colors now. Okay, as we change the colors that we've done here, we're going to slip stitch in this first loop. So just slip stitch like that. And then we are going to, again, every 5, because we currently have 28 stitches, so 28 stitches all the way around, so we're going to do every 5 decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, last loop as a decrease. Let's just get that done properly. Hold on. Okay, so that's the first 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, decrease. Now we're in the loops again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now ready for a decrease. And last 5 and decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, decrease. Get into that first stitch. And we are going to, so we have 24 now, so we could probably do every 2 decrease. Let's see how that works. 1, 2, decrease. 1, 2, decrease. 1, 2, decrease. 1, 2, decrease. Oops. 1, 2, decrease. Last but not least. 1, 2, final decrease. Now I'll quickly check if we need to change colors or we finish here. So give me a moment to just check that. Okay, so here's what it's looking like. It's actually perfect, so we're going to finish off here. So in that case, I am just going to cut the yarn and cut the white one as well, because we'll weave that in later. Just a heads up, it is tough to fit the frog through, so you might want to use, I don't know, pliers, needles, anything you can to fit this jumper on. It has to go from the top down to the bottom. You can't fit it the other way around because this is just too small to fit the body part. So all that's left to do now with this body is to create the sleeve. So currently we have 10, so we've got 6 loops and 4 single crochet stitches over here, and all we're going to do is start like here and then do 4 and also include the corners, so we would have 12/13 in the sleeves altogether. So you can do that, and you'd have to start with white and then go to the next color. So maybe we'll do that now. All right, so here we are. We're going to connect right at this corner of one of the sleeves, and then we are going to attach the white yarn here, just chain, and then I usually go back and do the single crochet. So that's 1. I'll weave in the yarn tail at behind. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see how many we can get. So I'm going to include this corner as well. So that's 7. Here. 8. Gotta be careful now not to stretch it too much. 9, 10, 11, 12. You could probably get in 1 more to make it 13, just so our arms are wide enough. So that's 13 now. And I will slip stitch that. And actually, oh no, that's good. So now I'm going to okay, so from here, I am actually going to change the yarn color. So if we just get in that 13th stitch again, then I can change yarn colors to brown. Well, not brown, but like a pastel-y. I really don't know what color this is. Anyways, now I'm going to slip stitch and weave in those 2 yarn ends. You don't have to slip stitch, you can continue in the round. I just find it easier because I don't want to cut my yarn each time I change the color to do the neat round color change. So this is what I'm going to do instead. And it's not really obvious as to where the slip stitch is because it's kind of tucked in underneath the arm section anyway. So I'm going to do 2 rounds of this, then 2 rounds of white, and repeat, and that should be enough. So let's check back afterwards. Okay, so we've just finished. So we did 1 round of white, 2, 2, 2, 2. And we will finish off here. And what you want to do is just repeat that on the other side. That way you've got 2 sleeves. So I will complete that now and then we'll have a look at it. And there we have it. So this is our little jumper. I'm just weave in those ends and then fit it on top. You might need to sew a piece of yarn through the arm so that you can pull it through the sleeves. Otherwise this might be a bit hard. Also, if your arms are a bit too tiny and they're not coming out, I would recommend just decreasing this by 1. Okay, and finally we are going to make the shoe. So we'll start off with our yarn and we're going to chain 4 single chains. 4 chains. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we are going to increase in the second chain from the hook. So 1, 2, single crochet, and 4 single crochet in the last stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Single crochet on the other side, and in the final section, or the final loop, we will do an increase. 1, 2. You kind of want to open this out so you can see all of those stitches, and then we're going to just connect in the first stitch with a slip stitch. Now you can continue in the round if desired. You might also want to put a stitch marker on that first stitch so you can get to it nice and easy, because sometimes it really hides in there and then it's not easy to go through from there. Okay, I've done it. So there we go. Now I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to increase in that first stitch. Then 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. And then we want to increase in the next 2 stitches. 1, increase, 2, increase, another 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and then an increase to finish. This will give us a total of 14 stitches all the way around. Slip stitch in that first stitch. Okay, from here we are just going to crochet in the back loops only. So chain 1, 1, 2, 3, oops, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, sorry, went off camera, 14, but it's pretty self-explanatory from that point. Okay, so now we've done 14, so now we're going to start decreasing. And this is how we are going to go about this. So we're going to do 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. And from here we are going to decrease 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Notice how I decrease in the front loops only, which is what we've kind of been doing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now we have 11 stitches all together. And this time we are going to crochet 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochet. Then we will have 1 decrease and continue with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this now gives us a total of 10 stitches all the way around. And from here we're just going to do 2 more rows of 10. So I'll just do them with you now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, slip stitch, chain 1, and last 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, done. Okay, let's just cut that off because we'll weave in the end later. Let's try and cut this one off because we already weaved that in. Be careful not to cut anything else, by the way. And then all we're going to do now is just continue with the slip stitch on the back loops with the darker still, I don't know this color, and it bugs me every time because when I try and explain the color I have no idea. Okay, so this darker cream or beige color, we are going to first connect just after the slip stitch. So connect the yarn, chain 1, and in the same stitch you will do a, if you can, you'll do a slip. Gosh, definitely not easy. Okay, let's start that again. Okay, we can do this. So we got a slip stitch, chain 1, sorry, not a slip stitch, just connect, chain 1, and now, okay, I don't know what's happening to me. Come on, this is silly now. There we go. All right, so we got a slip stitch, and we will continue all the way around with a slip stitch. I wouldn't be too concerned about how many exactly you have. It should be somewhere between 14 and 15 altogether. We had 14 stitches in the round, if you recall, but we also have that slip stitch to incorporate because it's a bit hard to just skip it. It will feel like a lot of space or yarn stretched over that slip stitch, so I might actually include the slip stitch in my round, as you'll see in a moment. So we're getting there now. Okay, see how it's just so far away? I can't connect straight there, so I'm just going to do a slip stitch into that slip stitch, and then I'm going to connect to this first chain, not chain. If I can get into this first slip stitch, if not, I'm just going into that first loop that I started with where I touched the yarn, and I think that's actually easier. So I've done that now, and then I will just cut the yarn. Okay, so you want to repeat this so you can have a total of two little Ugg boots, and all you want to do now is just weave in all the yarn ends from the jumper to the boots. So once you've done that, then we can start dressing the frog up in his clothing. Alright, so I'll be back. Okay, and once you've weaved everything in and then you fit the jumper on, it's a little bit tricky and you've really got to work your fingers in there to grab the arms and pull it through, but it is possible, and this is the finished product. So it's a very cute little frog. Hope you guys enjoy that tutorial. Little Ugg boots, jumper. So cute. Alright, thanks everyone. See you in the next one.